So it took a while to get settled into Florida, and after we did get settled, we wanted to do something a little more passive in our free time than video games, because it is stressful moving. So we watched a lot of movies. And one of the movies my sister Grace watched on Netflix and proceeded to make everyone else watch is Zoom, or Zoom Academy for Superheroes as it was rebranded for the DVD release. Now, Zoom is a film that we watched a lot as children, and it seemed like a good enough time to revisit it. You know, it's a big milestone moving away from our childhood house. And when the film first starts up, it really gives the impression that it's meant to be a parody of sorts. There are pretty funny jokes about incompetent government agencies, like the shadowy sort of government agencies like SHIELD and whatnot. The main government agency the film centers around may as well be SHIELD. You could easily replace the general with Nick Fury. And those are the best jokes in the movie. They're really good. The jokes about the agency's incompetence, I mean. And then the rest of the movie definitely does not want to be a parody, which was very confusing because it has some unique problems that I haven't seen in any other film. And I'm not like a film snob or anything, but it was pretty weird. Like, the film seemed non-chronological in parts, and that didn't seem to be intentional. There were just points where the directors or writers didn't know how to transition a scene, it looked like, and so they'd put a montage in between the scene that just happened and the next scene, because they needed time to pass but didn't know how to make it pass without making it look awkward. That's my reading of it. But these montages they use as scene transitions don't fit in the story, and they're all occupied by songs from Smash Mouth, which makes for an incredibly surreal viewing experience. The songs are all credited to Smash Mouth, by the way. They even made a new one for the movie called So Insane. Very odd choice. I like the song. Very odd choice to have your film almost entirely scored by Smash Mouth. Anyway, the film is primarily about this washed-up superhero named Zoom. A long time ago, he was part of a group of teenage superheroes until something went horribly wrong with government testing, and he had to kill his brother. It happens, you know. It's a thing that happens to superheroes. So after he killed his brother, he repressed his powers, repressed his past, and went into a sort of post-traumatic stress disorder-fueled asshole state, where he takes out his aggression, negative energy, and bad memories on the people around him. It's not a bad setup. And the rest of the film pretty much entirely focuses on Zoom and him training a new group of teenage, or, you know, preteen to teenage superheroes. Some of them are definitely not teenagers, but some of them are. But even though there's supposed to be an ensemble cast of these preteen and teenage superheroes and Zoom leading them, Zoom's name is on the front, and there's a good reason for that. The children get almost no screen time. Even though there's very clear themes that are in play about properly encouraging your children's growth without forcing it, and trying to keep them away from people that would force it because you don't want them to be harmed, and how everyone has something special inside of them that they can awaken, and a very small sub-theme that I really like about how comic books give people hope, because they do that, and that's not talked about often enough in films. But the film doesn't really focus on any of that. Not the ensemble cast, not how to encourage your children to do what's best for themselves and their growth, not the romantic subplot. What the film mostly focuses on is how to make Zoom less of an ass, having him deal with his past, overcome his trauma, and stop being depressed so he can stop being an asshole. For most of the movie, he is completely reluctant to change, and he just keeps taking his aggressions out on the people around him, which is, you know, that's the point of his character. I'm not going to criticize that. I'm not going to say it's unrealistic either. Depressed people and people with severe trauma do sometimes do that. But when the character development for Zoom does come, it comes in such a short, sudden gasp, because most of the film is those Smash Mouth montages. So there's one scene where after he realizes he's isolated everyone and he feels alone, he's talking to someone, and Superman by Five for Fighting starts playing as he realizes that he took his past life and past friends 30 years ago for granted, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. And I don't usually laugh at things that are trying to be serious. I haven't laughed at something that's trying to be serious in a very long time. But hearing Five for Fighting Superman playing over Tim Allen's Zoom thinking about how he took his past for granted in a movie that was almost completely devoid of character development until that moment made me laugh a lot. It's a functional movie. The parts that seem like they're supposed to be important aren't important. It's very underdeveloped. Most of it is smash mouth montages, but the main character conflict functions. The jokes about superhero lore and incompetent government shadow agencies are really funny. Tim Allen is very good at being a sarcastic asshole, and it's a very strange film. Very strange. And just as a little bonus, because you know I like to do this, you know I like to look up critical reviews of things that I talk about. I just like doing research. I'm going to post a little collage I made of all the various sites that me and my sisters visited to look up reviews of Zoom and what people have to say about it. And as you're about to see, a lot of the things that I thought were mildly funny aren't really things that aged well to most people. Some some of the jokes, which I feel bad for laughing, that I thought were kind of funny because they fit with Zoom's character, and Tim Allen delivered the lines really well. Apparently didn't age well for a lot of people, and that was consistently funny for me to read, even though that makes me feel bad. I do think it's weird. I have a Common Sense Media review in here, and the person that did the Common Sense Media review thinks it's wrong that Zoom refused to hold a little girl's hand. Like, Zoom is absolutely not allowed to deny a little girl a hand holding. And I think that is horrible. Like, if you're an adult and you don't want to hold a little girl's hand, that's okay. That's not something you have to do. We should not be encouraging people to feel compelled to touch children, even when the children want it. It is your body. Please, no matter what anyone on Common Sense Media tells you to do or tells the film industry to do, please remember you don't have to hold the little girl's hand if you don't want to hold the little girl's hand. That's a very important lesson to take away from Zoom, if nothing else. Ah, man, old movies are a trip.